It's
Let's
now
ride.
time for the words that are recited before each and every game here at Dodger Stadium. Take it away, Finn.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
What is going on, Dodger fans? Thank you for listening to another episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. Your Los Angeles Dodgers are 98-61. They only have 3 more games left against the eliminated San Francisco Giants. Your Dodgers are just finishing a 4-game series at Coors Field against the Colorado Rockies, where they split the 4 games. And my first complaint is just, why do they have a scheduled doubleheader this late into the season? Are they asking for an injury? Like, my God, MLB, get your shit together. That's just annoying.
Yeah, it's a weird technicality that they had in the schedule. It doesn't make any sense. And I mean, honestly, during this time of year, this is typically the time of year where we just pray that nothing horrendous happens. You know, that's just basically all we're hoping for. Just please just get through the rest of these games against the Giants unscathed and get us to the postseason.
Yeah, exactly. And before I pass it over to you guys, this was an awesome showing by the Dodgers rookies. I mean, Ryan Pepiot, Bobby Miller, and Emmet Sheehan all had pretty much career days with their strikeouts. So we'll get into a little bit more of that and what it possibly means for the postseason moving ahead. David Rosenthal, let me kick it over to you. What's going on? How are things in your corner?
Been an exciting week of postseason baseball race, honestly. I mean, obviously the Dodgers have this locked up, but all around the league has been really enjoyable to watch. And I didn't think we were going to get that luxury this year to sit back and kind of watch everybody else be frantic and scared. The last 3 games, Jake already said it. You just got to avoid any catastrophic injury, like the Muncy injury. You just can't have that happen. This team is in a good enough position, even pitching wise, honestly, where they can make a serious run at a World Series. So these 3 games, you know, start Freddie and Mookie and take them out after 2 or 3 at bats. Do something like that. Just limit the damage here in these last 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, who would be left to throw? I think you got to have Lynn go, Kershaw, and then is it Bobby Miller?
Yeah, it's going to be Kershaw and Miller at the end because it lines up with game 1 and 2. They did that a while in advance.
Really hope they limit their pitches. We don't need Bobby Miller going 7 innings every time. He's been kind of the opposite. Not that I'm, frantic or worried, but he's been kind of the opposite of what the Dodgers do in years past with up and coming younger arms. They're just throwing him out there, let him go 6-7 every time. Throws 100, has me a little nervous. But Jake Reiner, what's going on? What are your thoughts on everything going on in Dodgerland?
Well, I'm actually encouraged about the way they're playing right now. They are playing really good baseball, and they're beating the teams that they need to beat, and they look good and primed for the postseason. And it's crazy to think, at the beginning of this year that the Dodgers would be winning this many games, that they would have blown out the division by now, and now have 4 players on their team with 100 RBIs, 100 plus RBIs, the first time they've ever done that in franchise history. So it's just an incredible run that this team has been on. And I really am hoping that they're ready for the postseason. And like I said, it's just about getting through these last 3 games, just staying sharp and, kind of waiting and seeing who the opponent will be.
You just threw out an awesome record that the Dodgers achieved this season when everyone was calling them the mom and pop and the punting of the offseason Dodgers. Well, 4 players, 100 plus runs driven in, capped off by JD Martinez Thursday evening, who's now got 32 home runs, 100 RBIs, and they signed him for only $10 million. What an absolute steal. Max Muncy.
And he also missed like a month too of the season.
Yeah, he's played like 105 games or something. Incredible. Max Muncy, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, the other players in that 100 RBI club. Any thoughts on anything, Jake? Do you want to steer the show in a certain direction to kick it off with a topic?
Yeah, I think this would be a good one to start with. So I want to hear from both of you guys one reason why you're confident that the Dodgers can make a deep postseason run? Give me, any players, any sort of, groupings of players, any reason why you are confident going into the postseason, and then one reason why you are scared shitless that it could just absolutely implode. Does anybody want to take a crack at that? Or I can.
All right, I'll go.
Go for it.
So the reason I'm confident is obviously going to be the offense, and particularly the top two in the order. Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts are playing the best that they've played as Dodgers, in my opinion, this year. So I'm confident in this offense. And I know that's a crazy thing to say, given how frequently the Dodgers offense just disappears in the playoffs. It's with clockwork every single year. Even in 2020, they kind of disappeared for a while. But I don't think that's going to happen this year, at least not at the top of the lineup. I think they'll move JD up if it gets to that point with Will Smith in the playoffs. One reason why I'm not confident is the bullpen. I know they've been really good recently, and I know they have like kind of a big three with Phillips, Brazier, and Gratterall. But aside from those three guys, I don't really know what you have in the bullpen. I don't know how they're going to stack the starting pitching. And if one of these rookies kind of gets in trouble early, I think Dave Roberts is going to be quick to go to the bullpen. And I think those kind of middle relief guys are going to be needed at some point soon in a huge spot. And I don't have a ton of confidence in those guys right now.
So why I'm confident is the opposite. It's the pitching. I'm like cautiously optimistic. I'm really loving what I'm seeing out of Bobby Miller. We'll get into more detail how I think you line up the Dodgers rotation, but spoiler alert, Bobby Miller is my game one starter. I feel like Ryan Pepiot, I don't know if they're going to start him or bring him out of the bullpen. I guess those are different scenarios we can explore. But the way Ryan Pepiot's just been throwing the ball all season, there's no reason not to, have confidence in him. And then Emmet Sheehan, he was just, that Rangers start kind of midway through the season where he just got completely pummeled. Well, something turned around completely because he's looked effing awesome. He's just pitching his nuts off. I mean, in Coors Field, he had 10 strikeouts. I believe against the San Francisco Giants, he went 4 2/3 of no-hit innings, had 9 strikeouts, walked in a run. That was the only run he gave up. And then he came out of the bullpen against the Mariners, and I think he had 5 strikeouts over 3 innings. And so I feel like Emmet Sheehan is probably a guy you're going to see come out of the bullpen in some type of hybrid starter or reliever role, where maybe you bring him out in game one if you need 6 outs, or you potentially start him if you want to do a bullpen game. I'm not entirely sure what their script is yet, but I think the theme moving ahead into the postseason is what's the most effective way to get 27 outs? So what I'm negative about, I guess, I have some doubts about Will Smith in the 3-hole. He's been pretty cold down the stretch, and I'll save it more for our postseason preview shows, but Will Smith's got to get his act together in the postseason because it's been a long time. If you're going to have him sandwiched in the heart of the order between Freeman and Betts and then Martinez and Muncy, then he's got to be effective. Even if he's not driving in runners, he's got to produce productive outs. And so that's actually my big fear right now.
I'm surprised that they haven't tried something there. It seems like Will Smith has been just bad in the second half. Just quickly, last 7 games, he's hitting $154, no home runs. In his last 30 games, he only has 3 homers, and he's batting .203. He's just not been good the second half of this season. And contrastly, JD Martinez has been excellent, and he's come up big in a number of different spots. Kevin just read off his stats. Unbelievable year. I don't understand why they haven't gone and tried to move JD up and Will Smith down just to see if that combination would work. But I agree with David. Like, I feel like at some point, we saw it. This one thing comes to mind where it was like, in 2018, Grandal just couldn't catch the ball anymore. And so they put in Austin Barnes, and Austin Barnes kind of took over in that role. I feel like they will do something like that if it is just clear cut that Will Smith's not going to come through. I hope he proves us wrong because I love Will Smith. And I think in order to make a deep postseason run, he's got to be good. So I'm really hopeful that he can turn it around or step it up in the postseason, but it doesn't look good right now. To end the sort of topic that I started, my one thing that I'm really confident in is just the veteran presence on this team. And what I mean by that is the David Peraltas, the Miguel Rojas's, the JD Martinez's, these very Jason Hayward, these very gritty veterans, hungry veterans, they're not going to let this team get complacent. They haven't all season. They've pulled for each other. This is the most cohesive unit we've seen in some time. And I just feel like those guys just aren't going to kind of coast like what we saw last year. All the talent in the world just seemed dead. Seemed like there was nobody, galvanizing that clubhouse. That's what I'm confident in, is that the attitude is going to be right. And so I feel like that'll translate on the field. The thing that I'm most worried about is I just know that it's coming. You just know it's coming with Dave Roberts. I just hope I just hope that this team is good enough to overcome a colossal Dave Roberts mistake, because at least one, pretty much two, there's going to be two bad ones depending on how long the postseason goes. And I just hope that it's not one of these fatal blows where there's no way to come back. So I know it sucks to say that about Dave, because he's been great, and I think he should be manager of the year because he's been excellent and he's kept his clubhouse intact and he's kept these guys motivated and they love him, which I think he's, a terrific guy, terrific manager. But it's coming in the postseason. You just don't know when, but it's coming. And I just hope that we're in a position where it just doesn't destroy us.
Bases loaded, one out. Here comes Caleb Ferguson out of the bullpen.
We got to talk about Caleb Ferguson. That guy cannot be an opener. He can't be a high leverage guy. I don't trust him at all. He's been terrible.
I think he's flirting with not making the roster.
I mean, at this point, look, Alex Vesia has been actually pretty decent recently.
Yep.
Over his last 7 games, he's got a 150 ERA. Last 15 games, he's got a 180 ERA. Caleb Ferguson has been really bad. So I would foresee definitely a possibility of Ferguson being left off the postseason, at least for the division series.
Mm-hmm. Holding my beer on that real quick, because I think this all ties in. So speaking of bullpen options in the NLDS, PDX Dodger fan on Twitter, or X, is asking or stating Dodgers can't possibly be considering Michael Grove or Gavin Stone for the playoff roster, right? Well, Gavin Stone's not going to be in there, so we don't have to talk about him. But how about Michael Grove? Because he was activated off the injured list earlier this week. He's thrown 2 appearances for the Dodgers. The stats are 3 1/3 innings, only 1 hit, 5 strikeouts, all coming out of the bullpen. So I guess for the listeners' sake, and someone else actually mentioned it as well, they want us to talk about Michael Grove. Is he a postseason option?
Okay, so I'll say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if something goes wrong with, let's say, Sheehan or someone down the stretch, he is definitely the next guy up. But no, in the sense of, as it sits right now, I don't think you need to include him on there, given, especially in a 5-game series. But at the same time, I don't think it's the end of the world if you do, because I've always said he has the strikeout stuff, and in a small sample size, he's not the worst thing to ever happen. So if you can just limit your exposure with him, he can strike guys out. He's shown he can strike guys out. I mean, he had one of the weirdest stat lines ever in MLB history earlier this year. It was like 10 earned runs and 10 strikeouts. In like 5 innings or some ridiculous stat, but
against the Reds.
But yeah, I mean, I could see him being the last man out of the bullpen. At absolute best case scenario for Michael Grove, he is the last man out of the bullpen.
I don't have these stats in front of me, but from the games that I've watched him coming out of the bullpen, I feel like he's had more success coming out of the bullpen than starting.
It's like a high 4 ERA versus a near 7 ERA as a starter.
Yeah.
I think he could give you 1 or 2 innings though.
So there's 3.
Why?
There's 3 guys battling for 2 spots, and I believe Michael Grove would obviously be one of them. Alex Vesia is probably the second, and Lance Lynn is probably the third. I can see a world where the Dodgers leave off Lance Lynn off the NLDS roster because they don't really need him in this series.
Are you assuming in that scenario that
you can't be locking in Ferguson at this point. Like, there's no way he's safe at this point. He's just not.
They're not going to take him off the postseason roster because of some bad Coors Field outings. Ferguson's
It's not
Dave's
just
guy.
Coors Field.
We know how Roberts is. Ferguson's not in limbo, at least for the NLDS. If he's shits his pants in that round, yeah, we can have the discussion.
Can I say something, guys? Over his
Have the
last
discussion, and that might be the end of the season.
Over his last 7 games, he has a 12.71 ERA. I just don't think that you can chalk that up to a bad Coors Field day. Like, that's just bad. He's been bad this year, and he's been bad as an opener, and he's been bad as a high leverage guy. And I just don't trust him at all. I don't know how this guy could be a lock. I just don't, based on performance.
No way.
Because Alex Vesia is the other option, and Alex Vesia hasn't been a high leverage guy all season. So you have to
honestly,
defer.
I would take. I mean, you're kind of pulling hairs here, because it's like, do you want someone that's actually has a good momentum going into the postseason where they're actually pitching well, or a guy that just can't fucking find it? Like, I don't think that there is like, oh, if you go with Vesia,
the honor system, basically the spoils system.
It's like, if you go with Ferguson, it's not like you're going with like Josh Hader versus Vesia. These guys are on the same fucking level.
I don't think Vesia's earned it. He hasn't been good in high leverage either all season.
Ferguson hasn't earned it either. I don't understand.
Ferguson has done the opposite in the last 2 weeks.
I don't understand what stats. I don't understand what stats you're looking at that says that Ferguson proved it.
Well, Ferguson's been there he's in a funk right now, but they have a week off where he can get his shit together. This isn't even an argument. Ferguson's going to make it. Alex Vesia probably will make it too, but that's where I think of those three, it's Ferguson's in, it's Vesia, Grove, and Lynn. And I honestly really think Lance Lynn might be the odd man out because they don't need him in the NLDS. I think Ryan Pepiot has surpassed him. Therefore, what use do you have Lance Lynn for? You're not going to bring him out of the bullpen. You only need 3 starters in a best of 5. They're going to reshuffle. They're going to reshuffle things come NLCS. But for the NLDS,
going with 3 starters, but also one of them is Kershaw, and he hasn't been bouncing back at that rate, Kevin. So I don't know if you can do that.
Kershaw's going to start in the NLDS. I don't know.
Oh, I know, but I don't think he's going to bounce back and be able to start in game 4 or game 5 if they need it, bro.
Well, that's why they have Ryan Yarbrough and Emmet Sheehan, if that is the case. The Dodgers have to win this in 3. They shouldn't be playing to win it in 5. Ideally, Bobby. That's why I think Bobby Miller is going to go game 1, Kershaw game 2, and then they probably will either just start Pepiot or do some kind of interesting bullpen game where Pepiot is the bulk man, and hopefully they win it in 3. And if they do need a game 4, then you give the ball back to Bobby Miller. And if there is a game 5, well,
on how many days rest is that?
For Bobby Miller, he would be fully rested from game 1 to game 4 because there's a gap game randomly in between games 1 and 2. And then I think there's another gap day in between games 2 and 3.
That can't be right. There can't be game off. There's no way.
Look it up. They're doing it kind of different this year.
I mean, maybe you're right that Ferguson's going to be on this roster, but he's literally done nothing to earn that. I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, to say nothing is just unfair because he has had months where he was lights out. He's been off and on. Right now, he's just off. And yes, I completely agree. If he sucks in the NLDS, then yeah, you leave him off the next round. If he costs us the season, well, then you better trade his ass because that would be unacceptable.
I don't know.
Looked it up earlier yesterday. He has like a sub-1 ERA in the 8th inning still. So despite his hiccups, Ferguson has been pretty consistent overall.
Here's the thing. So I want to get your guys' take on this. We have Vesia, we have Ferguson, and Yarbrough's, I mean, he's a lefty, but he kind of doesn't count because he's kind of a hybrid starter. Are you worried that we don't have a shutdown lefty going into the postseason? Does that worry you? Because I looked at some stats of some of our best right-handed relievers, and they fare actually really well against left-handed pitching. So it may not matter that we don't have a stellar Vesia or a stellar Ferguson, because right now Shelby Miller opponent batting average 133 against lefties. Gratterall 211 against lefties. Phillips 229 against lefties. Brazier 231 against lefties. So these guys can face either righties or lefties and get them out. So it may not be that big of a deal, but knowing the Dodgers and knowing what how Dave Roberts and company likes to use Caleb Ferguson, he's going to be in a crucial spot in a crucial game. And I'm just scared to death that it's going to implode.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair argument. I would definitely favor probably Brusdar Graterol because I believe you mentioned it. He's been awesome against both lefties and righties. I would probably go with him over Vesia or Ferguson. I mean, I was just trying to find it right now, but I mean, in terms of just high leverage, I don't trust, honestly, either of them. If Ferguson's going to come into the game, it better be in the 5th or 6th inning. Same with Alex Vesia, because in high leverage, opponents are still hitting well over 300 against Vesia. OPS is in the thousands, so no thank you.
So you kind of answered your own question for me, except I'm not worried about what you said. So I'm not worried that the Dodgers don't have a dominant lefty. I'm worried that Dave Roberts doesn't realize that and isn't going to just go with his best guys and is just going to go with Vesia or Ferguson because they're a lefty and because,
Right.
Two lefties are coming up. So that is my concern, not having a dominant lefty.
I mean, the last time Vesia was in a season-defining role, he shit the bed against Jake Cronenworth. So I'm not fully confident.
That was a year ago, though.
So he hasn't been better since.
I'm just saying.
He's only been
a long
worse.
time ago.
I don't think that's a long time ago. That's the last time. That was the last playoff game the Dodgers were in. So his track record right now doesn't give me confidence. But yeah, I mean, that goes back to Jake's point of Dave Roberts is a major wild card. He's been managing great all season. He's made very few mistakes. Like, I've been very minimal in terms of criticism of him. I feel like he's learning his lesson, I hope, which brings me to another point that I wanted to commend the Dodgers for, which is that both them and the Atlanta Braves learned from their mistakes last season when they took some time off, were too laxed, and then got smoked in the NLDS. They're going to actually play some simulation games with some high intensity thrown in there and potentially welcoming season ticket holders into Dodger Stadium to kind of just add some noise and, egg them on, I suppose. So I actually really like this approach. This was one of my main critiques of Dave Roberts a year ago, was that he didn't properly prepare these guys for the postseason. So I just wanted to, tip my cap. I really like this decision.
Yep. Needed it.
Okay, let's see. Let's just go back to this question. We kind of were talking about it, but on Instagram, +_E. Why isn't JD Martinez batting third? I think we can tie this into just us kind of projecting what the Dodgers starting lineups will look like against both right-handed starters and left-handed starters. So we can start with righties, which I think we know the 1 through 5. They're not going to move Will Smith down yet, despite our aberration and support for moving JD higher, which, I mean, all the data suggests he should. But so it'd be Betts, Freeman, Smith, Muncy, Martinez. Who do you got batting 6?
It's either Outman, Peralta, or Hayward in whatever order.
I have a feeling they would go with Jason Hayward at least to start.
I think so too.
But I think you got to have James Outman ahead of David Peralta at this point. Outman has been on fire over his last 7 games. He's 10 for his last 25, a 400 batting average, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, and he's up to an 800 OPS now on the season. He's been trending upwards. And, 7 hole isn't exactly that high up in the lineup to begin with. So I think Outman, Peralta, and Rojas would be your bottom third.
Agreed.
Yeah. And then against lefties, assuming they face one, Betts, Freeman. And then I guess this, begs the question, who you got batting third? Could see the Dodgers maybe differentiating things here.
I don't think they will, but I mean, JD is the answer.
JD's the answer for both lineups.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to go,
they'll keep the same 5, I think.
Freeman, Smith,
Martinez would be ahead of Muncy in this.
I could see that.
I could see them flipping that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you flip those two, and then
Unless it's like a Wade Miley, where they're gonna say he's gonna start, but it's coming out after like 3 pitches, 3 batters now.
Dave can sniff that out 2 times in a row, then he's smarter than I thought.
So 6 would probably be like Chris Taylor or something.
I like that.
I think, yeah, or Kike.
They'll probably have Chris
Yeah.
hit 6th, and then Kike 7th. What's interesting is do you here's my thing. It's like, I know that they got Rosario for this purpose, but
yes, I start him.
So where would he play?
Shortstop.
So you wouldn't have Rojas in there? You would replace. See, my problem with that is the defense.
I would take him. I would bring in Rojas after the lefty comes out.
Okay. I
what if a lefty doesn't come out?
He's played shortstop in the major leagues for like 3 seasons.
But at Jake's point, he had like a -15 defensive run save.
So you're going to start him at second, is what you're saying?
Well, you could do that, and
well, then you lose somebody in the lineup,
right?
I guess
Rojas, you'd lose Kike. He wouldn't be in there.
You're not benching him.
No, you got to have him in on the.
You would lose Kike. You would lose Kike, Outman, or Taylor.
Well, to be honest with you, I'd rather have Rojas at shortstop and keep Kike Hernandez's bat in the lineup than to have Rosario in there.
Kike is such a postseason gamer. I don't know if I agree with that.
What do you mean? I just said
I think he's saying keep Kike in the lineup.
Oh, you said keep him in? Oh, I thought you said you'd rather have Rosario in there than have Kike in the lineup.
No, I would rather have Kike in there over Rosario.
I think they will. I think they will.
Because Rosario, even though he's a quote unquote lefty killer or whatever, like he's really not been that. He's been okay. He's not been great. So and I having PTSD flashbacks.
Also, I think you can get by though on one game.
Sure, but remember what happened with Trey Turner in that one game? I mean, it's just I get PTSD. But
that wasn't one game. He was shortstop every game that series.
I know, but I'm saying that
he's not a terrorist out there. It's just over the course of a season.
Trey Turner's air literally turned the series around.
It did. That's my point. It's like,
and it's not even a full game. You have him in there till the starter comes out after the 5th inning, and then you bring in Rojas.
What if they bring in lefties after that?
I don't think that's usually how it goes. That's a very rare. And even if you do, he can play shortstop.
I know he can play shortstop.
You're not bringing in like one of us in the field. Like he's a major leaguer.
I understand that, but it's the playoffs, and you want to have your best defender in there at shortstop the entire game. That's
you also need to score runs, and him versus a lefty is much more effective than Miggy Rowe.
I mean, not by much. But
by a decent amount. It's just a notable, substantial, impactful amount.
Maybe career-wise, but I mean, I think Miguel Rojas and you're splitting hairs at the plate there.
I disagree.
I think it's closer than David's kind of giving credit for. I mean, Miguel Rojas, you can look it up. I think he's batting like 270 against lefties. He's not like an automatic out, but I think Rosario is going to get the first crack against lefties. Therefore, by default, Rojas will have to sit on the bench. And hopefully that doesn't bite the Dodgers in the ass, but I'm guessing Kike would be at shortstop and Rosario would play second.
Yeah, I think you're right, Kevin. That's actually a good point.
So then, Taylor, Outman, and Betts. That's your outfield.
Because has Rosario even played shortstop for the Dodgers? Maybe once.
He has.
Yeah, like barely, but he has. Yeah.
And Kike has, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, you're right then.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just and also the fact that I'm a little nervous about Max Muncy at third, playing third. I know you can't do anything about it, and he's going to start there no matter what. But it does very much concern me that there's going to be a crucial time where the ball's going to be hit to him and we're going to get fucked. So that's the other factor as to why I would want my best shortstop in there on the left side. But I understand the other argument too. It's probably what they're going to do anyway.
Okay, so 2 points. One, I think you are going to see Max Muncy come out of the game late in these games. I think he's proven he has been a legitimate liability at third base, unfortunately, this year. And I think you are going to see, especially, when it's a left-handed pitcher on the mound, you're going to see Kike come in and play third. 7th inning, 8th inning, probably closer to 8th or 9th inning, Kike is going to come in.
I mean, it depends on the score,
Yeah. There's a lot of variables.
If they're losing, or it's a 2 or 3 run lead, I think you will. And I think it's the right move, honestly. I think you got to trust your bullpen. You got to put your best defense on the field at that point.
There's so many variables. That's what makes the postseason such a wild thing.
And Dave Roberts is in charge of all of it.
All right. So in what we think they'll do for the rest of this lineup, it's going to be Taylor, Kike, or no, maybe Taylor, Outman, Kike, Taylor, Outman.
No,
Kike.
it'll be Taylor, Kike, out, or maybe Taylor, Rosario, Outman, Kike. Maybe they'll want another guy at the bottom to act as like a pseudo leadoff hitter.
Yeah, I could see
that.
I
think you got to, by default, have Rosario bat 9th, especially if you're subbing in Rojas, because you don't want Rojas batting in the 7 hole. You would want him batting.
But you also want Rosario to get his at-bats at the same time, so it's kind of a two-edged sword.
I kind of like Rosario in the 9 slot just because he's got a lot of speed, and if he gets on base, and you got Betts and Freeman coming up.
What's nice about this season versus the last 2 seasons is the Dodgers finally have a bench. They don't have a bunch of dead weight in Albert Pujols, the corpse of Albert Pujols.
Steve Souza.
Yes. Billy McKinney coming up, and Luke Raley.
Oh,
although
he's having like the best
turned
year.
it around.
He's like
Barnes.
a top 15 in WAR this year. Over there in Tampa.
Hopefully no Austin Barnes and Josh Hader marquee matchup. Good job, Freeman. You actually, you adjusted. You didn't settle on Trace Thompson being our key bench guy this season.
I mean, the addition by subtraction this year has been kind of interesting. Getting rid of Trace Thompson. What was the other guy that we got rid of?
Noah Syndergaard.
Which
is worth bringing up on that note. Have you noticed that the Dodgers aren't getting run all over anymore, all night and day, by stolen base attempts anymore?
Yeah,
they've actually been in the upper echelon in the second half.
And the catchers both of them have been better.
They have been better. I think
Barnes is still rough, but he's even Barnes has been better.
Yes, they're working on it. Phil Bickford, RIP.
Yeah. Oh, sending Vargas down was a good move.
Yeah. Poor Vargas.
I know. I was kind of bummed though, because I really was hoping that he would be a staple in this lineup, and it just never worked out.
Well, he's going to get his chance next year.
He will, but I'm just saying for this year, it was just like, and that awkward bobblehead night.
I don't know where you're going to play Miguel Vargas next year.
Well, he's going to get a chance. If his bat performs, you'll find a spot for him.
We'll see. Or he's just trade bait. They got to figure out what to do with Miguel Vargas and Michael Busch, who spearheaded the World Series AAA champions this year.
Yeah. 30 bombs this year.
He was Michael just Busch. Barry Bonds in the minors this year.
And then Gavin Stone went full Josh Beckett in the winner clinch game.
Don't forget Wander Suero locking it down for the save.
Locking it down.
He was like Fernando Rodney out there.
Yeah.
Kyle Hurt setting it up. Good stuff. What a stacked AAA team.
I'd rather have Kyle Hurt than Ferguson in this.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't. I've seen Kyle Hurt throw 1 inning.
I'm sold.
Yeah, but we should have had more.
Okay, well, right now I'm going Ferguson over Mr. 1 inning.
He threw 2 innings. You got to give him full credit.
All right.
And he was electric. But yeah, I mean, it could be fool's
I'm not
gold.
denying that.
It could be fool's gold, like the guy that is now on the injured list, who was, why am I blanking on his name? He was Rule 5, and then he went back to the Dodgers. He had like an awesome, Gus Farland.
Oh yeah,
Gus Farland
really
was awesome.
Really
his debut and then sucked.
Yeah, he was not good.
He'll be back.
I didn't drink the Gus Kool-Aid.
You weren't on the Gus bus?
We got
No.
we got one more question that I'll get to in a second. It's kind of more towards the end, but just kind of thinking ahead, to the Dodgers rotation next season, it seems like they're almost full. You've got, imagine Pepiot is probably going to be a starter. Obviously, Bobby Miller. Not sure what they'll do with Emmet Sheehan, but he's definitely looks like he's earned a starting nod. And then
Definitely earned a look.
Walker Buehler will be back and fully recovered from the Tommy John. Clayton Kershaw could be back. All indications point to that he's not planning to retire unless an injury forces his hand. So that's potentially 5 starters right there.
Or if they win. If they win, he's done.
I can't predict what he's going to do. I'm not in his head, but let's just say he's potentially coming back. And then Gavin Stone could be in that mix. So that's 6. And then they're going to sign 1 or 2 guys, I imagine. So it's like the future is pretty bright for this Dodgers rotation. And then on top of that, Kyle Hurt, we'll see what his role is. Nick Frasso has looked awesome. He could have a role. And
River Ryan.
Thank you. That was the other name I was thinking of. A lot of options.
Matt Beatty, as I call him. I can't believe the Padres gave us that guy for Matt Beatty. But at the same time, I can. No, okay. But to what you just said, though, since 2021, we have had, even 2020, we have had preseason. We're like, oh, look at this rotation. We don't have enough spots. Look, we have all this guy and this guy and this guy. And by midseason, half of them are dead. Half of them every single season. So, no, I don't think you can have enough pitchers. I think you go out and sign 2, 3 if you want. Lance Lynn as a team option, you can just guarantee that for $15 million or something like that. A certified innings eater just to have. If you don't like how he's performing, put him on the IL or cut him or trade him. The Dodgers have enough money where they can do this. Andrew Friedman should go out there and sign at least 2 starters in the offseason. Although if you sign Ohtani, I count that as 1 in the future. So just 1 more after that if you sign Ohtani.
Ohtani for sure. Yamamoto from Japan potentially, but I think they're going to sign a reclamation guy. Andrew Friedman and Mark Pryor love their 1-year flyers, so they'll have 1 veteran as well. And what's different though is you're right. Half these guys are going to go on the injured list. That's why you can't trade them. But heading into spring training, I'm just saying you got to feel pretty good at least.
You know who's an early name I could see the Dodgers trading for? Or just acquire, or just getting, is Shane Bieber.
It's always hurt.
He's been hurt. Every metric of his has gone down over the past 2 to 3 years. But to your point, the Dodgers are a perfect team for a guy like that. Maybe it won't work out, but maybe it will. I mean, his price has never been lower.
Welcome to the Pryor lab.
Yeah,
he doesn't need the Pryor lab. He needs medical help.
No, I think he needs some Pryor lab, dude.
Mark can help with that.
Yeah, well,
the Pryor lab turns around careers, but you also have a higher risk of ending up on the injured list.
Yeah,
that's the reality. I mean,
I don't know. He's a free agent after next year.
Yeah, I don't. He'd be a deadline guy, I think.
If the Guardians are smart, though, get more value out of him before.
But I think to that point, I think his value would be higher at the deadline, because that's where bidding wars.
Depends who else is available and depends how he's pitching. In the offseason, you have the allure of, he's coming in with a clean slate, he's going to be healthy. The deadline, he could be hurt at that point, or he could be sucking. So I would, if I was them, I would take the advantage of mystery box. He could be fine.
Yeah, I just think for the Dodgers, it wouldn't benefit them. I think they'd have to pay more probably in the off season than at the deadline. Although, yeah, it's the Dodgers tax is stupid. That's where I'll leave it at. Seems like anytime the Dodgers try to get in on a trade, they have to pay significantly more than another team. I mean, the St. Louis Cardinals got Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt for basically expired Playboy magazines, XFL players, and strip club bouncers.
It was bad. Both of those trades were bad.
The NL West.
It's Dodger dress up day tonight. I guess
I was waiting. I was waiting for that.
Dave Roberts is dressed as Coach Prime. He's wearing a cowboy hat and a chain.
Oh, I gotta see this.
Yeah, who's posting the pics?
Who do you think? Who's the only Dodgers reporter who's going to be dressed? Well, two of them.
Vassay.
There you go, Dave Vassay. Of Navian tankless water heaters.
Navian tankless water heater spokesperson David Vassay.
Yes.
All right, here we
They're
go.
all, a lot of them are dressed up like they're playing for Colorado. The
A lot of
coaching
them
staff,
are-
it looks like the whole coaching staff.
So Muncy, Smith, Rojas, I think that is, Taylor,
You see
and
Bob Guerin,
Peralta. I can't tell that.
security guard Bob Guerin.
There's like 4 of them as those like car dealership wavy arm guys.
The wacky waving inflatable arm filling tube men.
Yeah, and then
Ahmed-
Freeman's on a bear.
Ahmed Rosario looks like he just put on a raincoat.
I think he's the guy from It,
Oh,
the
Yeah,
balloon. But where's his balloon?
it's there.
Yeah, all you
he's
need
holding,
is.
he's holding it.
Oh yeah, there it is. All you need is Dustin May to be Pennywise.
Yeah, where is Dustin May for this?
Or I guess that is No, maybe that Pennywise. I don't know. I'm not a horror movie guy.
Pennywise. Yeah, if
He's
the clown is the same movie as Yellow Raincoat and Red Balloon.
yes, but that's the actual clown, right? So he's just missing the makeup.
No, he's the kid who got
Okay,
eaten
that's
by
what I thought.
Pennywise.
Okay, yeah. So Dustin May is the clown. So they'd actually go well together.
They would. It's kind of weird they are not together. I don't know who coordinated that. That just seems kind of fucked up.
There's
be
got to
honest.
be
It's
someone.
like
as
making
a
us feel
clown.
bad about Dustin May being dead. And then
Looks like those are the only 2 pictures.
JD
right now.
Martinez is some blue dinosaur. Brewstar Gratterall, is he Zorro? Kind of hard for me to tell from this. Michael Grove is wearing a hat that says soft. Talk about on brand. Calling him Mid City Grove all season.
Well, there's got to be a story there, dude.
Are you guys looking at Bob Guerin?
I don't see him.
No,
He's
where's
right
Bob?
next to Dave. He looks like a security guard. He's like Coach Prime's. Yeah, it says
Oh, yeah,
Coach
yeah,
Prime
yeah.
security on. He's that's so good.
Yeah, they're all. Why are they wearing Colorado stuff though? Because they're in Colorado? Is that the joke?
Maybe.
I don't think so. I
Emmet
think
Sheehan's got like a bald cap on. I don't know what he's supposed to be.
they're wearing Colorado stuff because Dave Roberts is Coach Prime. So they're like his coaches.
Yeah, there's coaching staff, and Bob Guerin is the security guard.
I get that, but are they inspired by that because they're in Colorado? That's what I'm trying to
No.
ask.
No.
It just seems too coincidental.
I mean, Coach Prime has kind of taken the world by storm, and he's been kind of, polarizing.
You know who doesn't like Coach Prime? Colorado alum Alana Rizzo.
I saw that. She was getting ratioed to hell.
Why? What was she?
She
didn't
took
like
a
his
very
coaching?
old school boomer post, well, that's why when they got destroyed by Oregon, someone was like, well, you shouldn't have been acting a fool or acting like clowns. And Alana Rizzo was like, yes, totally agree. 100%. They embarrassed us.
He's too unhumble for her, I guess.
Yeah, it was
Doesn't-
very maybe just shut up, Alana.
Yeah, she likes. No, I'm not gonna say it.
Dave Roberts. Oh yeah, we already went over that. Sorry.
Okay, we'll get more updates on that in just a few minutes. Last question. DM'd us personally, so thank you, Mary G. Guzman. Can I get thoughts on being a 49ers and Dodgers fan? She wants our advice if that's acceptable. She promises she doesn't chant beat LA.
Oh, so she is a 49ers fan.
Yeah.
I mean, of course it's acceptable.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, there's a whole generation of football fans, Dodgers fans that grew up in LA without a team like we did. So
Yep.
of course, there's going to be Raiders fans. There's going to be, and the Raiders were here too. So there's going to be Raiders fans. There's going to be 49ers fans. And that's just the way it is. It is weird though. I mean, it is weird, to chant beat LA, which is sort of, should send chills up your spine when you hear it from an opposing team.
If you're a Lakers fan or a Dodgers fan, and then you're also a 49ers fan who's chanting beat LA, we're going to strap you into a rocket, shoot you up into the moon for you to never be on this earth again, because those people are some of the worst people that are on this earth.
Yeah, I guess you can be a 49ers fan, but like maybe cool it on the beat LA and just be happy that your team won.
I got nothing against the 49ers. I think they're an awesome, respectable franchise. My only issue is if you chant beat LA, though.
Also, I can't wait till the day where SoFi Stadium can be filled up with actual Rams fans when the 49ers come to town, because it is just depressing to have.
It's going to take a generation.
I know.
2060.
Right.
Rams
it's take a while.
The San Francisco 49ers
on Coach McVay Appreciation Day.
Here come the fans marching down from the Four Seasons Inglewood
for the unveiling of the Matthew Stafford statue.
Yep.
Still stuck in traffic because there's no high-speed rail system.
Any miscellaneous topics you guys want to cover real quick? Otherwise, I have two more things I want to address.
Go for it.
Talk about high-speed rail.
I'm good.
All right. What do you got, Kevin?
Oh, I thought you were okay. Well, here's the dilemma, or here's the situation. I want to look at the rest of the NOS teams real quick and just kind of briefly recap their seasons. So we'll start with the Colorado Rockies. I believe this is the first time they've actually ever lost 100 games in a season. So what are the good things about the Rockies? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you're a Rockies fan, you got nothing to look forward to. What are the bad? What prospects?
They have a lot of good prospects.
They say that every year. What pitching prospects do they have?
I didn't say pitching. They got a lot of good hitting prospects.
Main problem right there. They never have any pitching. They finished with, now we get to the bat. I think they finished with the second worst team ERA in franchise history. Second worst.
That's surprising though that they've never lost 100 games before.
Because they've always had like elite Hall of Fame bats on their team. And finally, Dick decided he's too good for that. Let's just full-fledged suck.
Nolan Jones is someone to be excited about. He's had a pretty good year.
Yeah, he's cool.
We don't know yet. He could just be another David Dahl flash in the pan. I need to see a full season before I jump on that train.
I mean, they don't really have a lot they don't really have a lot to hang on to.
Exactly.
That Chris Bryant contract looks terrible.
It's pretty bad.
I mean, it's just like random. Like why that?
I know. And then for him to not even really play at all.
It's not like he's hurting them because they're the worst team ever already. It's just, why did you decide to pay him?
No, really but the thing is that they don't spend that much money anyway. So
I know.
Like, I mean, they could have, they didn't have to go out and pay so much money for a guy that's not really going to do much for you. And then he doesn't end up playing. Use that money elsewhere.
Like for pitching?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, it was so unfortunate because German Marquez got hurt in like the first start of the year or something like that.
Yeah.
And then,
Sensatella.
Yeah. So those are their two guys that are, it's hard though. I mean, it's hard to find, it's not only hard to find good pitchers in Colorado, it's hard to develop good pitchers in Colorado, and it's hard to attract free agents in Colorado for pitching. So it's a really tough team to build any type of consistent like dynasty or anything like that. It's really tough.
Mm-hmm.
Which just baffles me because they're not going to be able to attract free agent pitchers. So why aren't you just going all in every year and drafting a bunch of guys? They're been perfectly awesome guys they could have drafted, like Shane McClanahan.
Because they've convinced themselves that it's impossible to develop pitching because they're in altitude. And it's just a cop-out and excuse to their fans. And people have bought into it.
I don't know if people have bought into it at this point.
I don't know why you would stop trying. Why wouldn't you?
I mean, a lot of people have bought it. Every time you hear, it was in Coors. So that whole storyline goes along with their philosophy of just being lazy and not developing pitching.
I haven't interacted with one Rockies fan in at least 5 years that have felt good about their team, though.
I'm surprised you interacted with a Rockies fan.
Yeah, I don't see why I don't think anybody has.
They get up for the Dodgers games. Those are their World Series.
Didn't seem like it. All right, next team.
Well, they're in fourth at the moment. The San Francisco Giants.
They are who we thought they were. Like this is really what this was. And it just goes to show you how much of a weird outlier 2021 was, because it's unbelievable what happened during that season, because the next two seasons they've been, as bad as we all thought that they were.
So next year is going to be very interesting. I think Farhan Zaidi's on the hot seat. He's been a very overrated executive. He honestly hasn't really impressed me at all. I don't think he's made any smart trades. The way he handles the deadlines are pretty underwhelming. And the way he just lets free agents walk, like Kevin Gossman, that was a big one. Like, that was an awesome arm you just let leave. At least, try to trade him or something, even though they were in contention, I guess. But I just don't get what Farhan's doing. I don't think their farm system is going to be up in time to save his ass either. And then Gabe Kapler, it seems like he kind of lost the clubhouse this season. Another guy that's probably on the hot seat heading into the 2024 season. But the way they just handled this most recent upcoming free agency, they threw money at Ross Stripling, who's really bad. They signed Sean Manaea as a choice, who was terrible with the Padres. And then who's the other one that I just didn't like? Oh, of course, the Carlos Correa debacle. You get your fans all excited, throwing like $350 million at Carlos Correa, and then he fails his physical, and you just put up your hands and say, well, we tried. We tried.
What about Arson Judge?
Yeah, that's the main one.
The one that John Heyman just made up out of thin air and then later retracted and said, oh, I thought I overheard something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So ridiculous.
He had the worst offseason of anyone.
He had a really rough year overall, not just offseason. It carried into this year.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much to look forward to as a Giants fan.
Carlos Correa had a horrible year, by the way.
He did.
Yeah.
And he's in the playoffs.
He is in the playoffs. The Twins called that sleeper team. AL Central is a disaster.
They're going to get destroyed.
They always do.
The Twins have what is the record now? They've lost how many in a row? How many postseason series in a row? Some record.
Too many.
All right, what about the Padres, right? Next up.
Yeah, this is what's freaking annoying is that the Marlins are up 2-1. There was 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning. The Mets are the home team. And there's a rain delay that's been ongoing for like 2 hours now.
Ugh.
All the Marlins have to do is win the game, and the Padres are eliminated. And so I'm kind of scared to completely bury the Padres right now, because I feel like I'll just have the worst highlight reel of all time that would just come back to bite me. So I kind of have to save it.
No, dude, you can let it rip, bro. Do you know how much has to happen?
What I will say, though, is that they're going to have a meeting led by the owner right after the last regular season game with Bob Melvin and AJ Preller, where Kevin AC of the San Diego Tribune basically laid it out that either they're both staying, someone's getting fired for sure, or they're both getting fired, which doesn't really give us much information.
So
but
nothing.
Basically all the options are on the table.
Yeah. Which I actually like that
breaking news from Kevin AC.
Because
everything on table.
I love that. I actually love that. It adds so much intrigue to this meeting. You just don't know what's going to happen. But the fact that Preller and Melvin aren't on speaking terms kind of gives you a strong indication that someone's going to get fired. And on top of that, the Padres want to reduce payroll by like 40 or 50 million down to they want to be under 200 million. And you had that whole situation with Josh Hader a few nights ago where he
that
didn't
was
want to go. He
ridiculous.
didn't want to go into the game. He also felt like they weren't in playoff contention anyways, and he didn't care. And because he's an upcoming free agent, he prioritized the money over helping his team in a must-win game.
Yeah, Max Scherzer at home going, hell yeah, buddy. Stick it to him.
See, now I would love to sign Josh Hader because I'm going to offer him a contract, but I'm going to say, okay, now that you got paid, you're going to give up your arm for the cause. For the next 3 years, you're giving everything you got anytime we need you under any circumstances. If he signs up for that, I would pay the shit out of him.
How much do you think you'd get Josh Hader for?
I don't know, probably too much, but I'd still enjoy it.
I'm going to make a bold prediction and say that there's no way that both Bob Melvin and AJ Preller keep their job at the same time. That option is not occurring.
Okay.
Edwin Diaz.
You've already taken it a step further than Kevin Acee.
Yes, I can make that declaration without.
All right, we should let Kevin know.
Kevin of the San Diego Tribune for all the listeners.
Correct.
Right.
Edwin Diaz got 5 years, $102 million. So you can pretty much guarantee Josh Hader will get more than that.
No.
Good. What do you mean no?
I don't know. I think he'll get.
He just had like a 1 ERA all season, and he's Josh Hader.
$100 million.
Yes.
I don't know.
He's going to be the highest paid reliever of all time.
I'll say this about the Padres, even though they're not mathematically eliminated, the fact that they're in this fucking position to begin with is just laughable. I mean, they've had the worst season of all time. When you look at the talent that they have on that roster, it's the worst season ever. And I don't get it. I just don't get it. I mean, I understand that there's a lack of a leader or whatever, but like, Jesus Christ. I mean, the fact that all these guys had down years is crazy.
I have such an epic video if the Padres get eliminated that I've just been waiting for over a week now.
And it's honestly kind of the craziest part is even if you look at these guys' stats, like some of these seasons that some of these guys have had are actually really good. It's just they've found a way to lose all of these games. It's like a really weird case study on a team, but yeah, I think Jake's right. I think one of Melvin or Preller is gone. And if I know Preller, he's going to be the last one to survive.
We will wait and see. Tatis Jr. has a OPS under 800 now. He's kind of fallen off.
He also has the most defensive runs saved out of any outfielder in baseball,
which is so weird.
Good for him, honestly.
Yeah, that is actually pretty crazy. Best right fielder in the game, I guess.
Kind of remarkable.
Couldn't do shortstop.
No, he could not.
All right, and then more thoughts on the Padres after the season, I guess. And the Arizona Diamondbacks, who look like they've locked up the 5th seed. Therefore, they're going to face the Philadelphia Phillies. I feel like the D-backs, they got off to a surging start. They were in first place for a hot minute. Kind of fell out of it. Then they heated up again, and here they are. They're having a really good season.
They've had a quietly good season. Like they've been just cruising pretty much, kind of under the radar, always hanging around. They've got a good team. It's just, I think that they did a lot better than I thought that they would on paper. I mean, certainly I did not think that they'd be in second place. I mean, I thought 100% it's going to be the Dodgers and the Padres, and then maybe the Giants and the D-backs are kind of battling it out for this final wild card spot. So it's kind of crazy that the way it's turned out for them. But the D-backs are sneaky good, and the way that they looked against the Dodgers in the first half, if the Dodgers have to face the D-backs, that is what I would be most worried about. Just their athleticism, they force the issue, they're running all over the place. So they've got a good young team. I've been pretty impressed with them this year.
84 wins feels underwhelming for a team to potentially make the playoffs with 84 wins. Kind of just shows you how bad all these other teams are freaking choking. Yeah. Therefore, why the Padres are hanging in. The Reds fell completely flat on their face. The Cubs are having the biggest Cubs meltdown of all time.
Ever.
All they had to do is win like one game and they're in, and they're going to blow it, it seems like. And then Yeah, I mean, the Padres, obviously. San Francisco got cooled off. And Miami, the Marlins very well could be that 6th seed. Would be very interesting to see Miami potentially in the NLDS against the Dodgers. We'll have to wait and see.
Scary lineup to face.
I think they're looking like it's going to be Milwaukee versus Miami.
Jake Berger has like the most quiet 34 home run season of all time.
And he's become a Gerardo Parra candidate.
Yeah.
He's Dodger killer.
He is absolutely the front runner, I think, right now.
Yeah.
Him. Tybert Ruiz randomly is going to be in there.
Yep.
And
Christian Walker.
Not this year.
Every year. Always.
Not this year. He was contained. Why am I blanking? Oh, Cody Bellinger. That's
Bellinger slayed us this year.
Those are some of the big
Cole
names.
Cole Calhoun.
If we saw more of him, yeah.
Well, we had him.
We did. He's not going to be a AAA champion, though. He left.
He'll still get his ring. They'll send him a ring.
Do you think they send that many rings?
Not in a AAA championship, no. If in a major league ring, yeah. But he never played on the majors, so no, he won't get one.
That's what I'm saying. You think Cole Calhoun's going to get a AAA ring?
If they give him out, yeah, absolutely.
They're going to give him out. I don't think he'll get one, though.
We'll have to ask him.
Yeah. There's
Come on the pod, Cole.
There's like 100 players that played on this AAA team this season.
I don't know.
Dylan Covey's going to have to get one. Actually, he deserves one. He was on that team for a while. All right, final thoughts, guys.
Stay healthy, please. No funny business.
Yep, I agree. Just stay healthy, and please, God, Dave Roberts, just do what's right. Just please, just do what's right.
15 minutes ago from Anthony DeComo, it's update. The tarp is going back on the field. Mets players are watching from the dugout. They're going to attempt to play and finish this tonight.
No way.
That's hype. I actually love that.
It's like almost 1 a.m., right? Where they are?
Yep.
It's because they have to go to the Miami Marlins, got to go to the Pirates for their next series. And I don't think they want to fly back to New York for a Monday to get 4 outs. Yeah. Because people were posting the rules. They have to finish the game because of the implications in the standings. Unless
that's crazy.
Unless the Padres lose, which doesn't seem to be happening enough. Yeah, it is pretty crazy. So final thoughts, pretty quick rundown. Make sure to subscribe to the Incline Dodgers podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, give us a follow, hit the like button. We need some comments below, so feel free to ask us some questions. We'll respond back with whatever you got on your mind. This podcast is brought to you by TickPick. And I'm telling you, with the National League Division Series playoffs right around the corner, you can already buy your tickets for the NLDS. No service fees at checkout. It's as easy as downloading the TickPick app, and it's super easy and convenient. If you're a football fan, you can go to TickPick as well, get your NFL tickets, or go to a concert. So I'm telling you, I've used TickPick all season long. So is Jake. Great product. And then finally, we launched a Discord. So if you want to interact with us, the Incline folks, or talk some Dodgers baseball, I'll have that link provided as well. All you got to do is copy and paste, I guess, and we'll add you in. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back in a few days to get you guys amped up and ready for the playoffs. Another great season of Dodgers baseball in the books. I mean, 98 wins and counting. Who would have thought? If you bet the over, then you're a winner, baby. Go Dodgers. Everyone have a great rest of your day. We out.